Hello everyone, Exio here. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to anyone watching on this fine holiday season. I am slightly sick, so I apologize if I am unable to word certain things properly here, but I wanted to get my thoughts out for the close alpha tests along with some gameplay as early as I can. In this game, I will have some gameplay footage in the background of the Alysnes unit, which is my favorite unit in the game so far, right probably next to the Falcon. I will explain the unit's kit closer to the end of the video, but for now, I want to go over my first impressions I have of the game so far. I do want to note, this footage and impression is based off what I've experienced in the alpha tests, so many things are still subject to change. With that out of the way, let's get to the big question: is this game fun? So far, my answer is a definite yes. While there are some things that can be fixed or improved, the core gameplay aspect of it is very fun, in my personal opinion. The units feel very unique, each have a specialized role in gameplay that are centered around. Nothing feels the exact same between each unit. Every single one has their own variable weapons, tools, and movement options that they can use to their own advantage. I know many people compare this game to Armored Core, but as someone who has never really played much of Armored Core, I can say that this game will be enjoyable for anyone who wants to try out a new mecha game. On top of that, there's a lot of unit customizations that are available. I'm not sure how much detail I can go into it, so I will kind of leave it alone, but just note that there's a bunch of customization options ranging from stuff you can customize for your own character, along with the mechas. I was very satisfied and surprised with the customization options that were available, especially for an alpha test. So I'm sure as someone out there who wants to make their mechs and character look really nice, this will be a very fun aspect for those that try it out. Now moving on to the gameplay. For what we got to test out in the alpha tests, the game mode was called Battlefield, which is the only one I've gotten to test out so far. Battlefield is a 6v6 objective-based game mode, depending on the map that is selected. Each map has their own objectives and will vary. The map in this video is I might butcher this name, but the Crop Sinkhole. The Sinkhole is a domination-like map objective where there are 3 separate areas to capture for points. The first point that is unlocked is A point, which is in the center of the map. Afterwards, B and C point will unlock later for players of either teams to capture. The gameplay system for the units primarily revolve around the innate lock-on system, along with the boost gauge. Do note primarily for melee units that there's no animation canceling for melee attacks. Once you start a melee action, you're kind of locked into it, so you can't dash cancel out of it. I don't think this is a bad option though, as it will kind of prevent people from button mashing the melee combos. What I've noticed that a lot of the times you can get roughly like 2 heavy hits in, and then after that, the enemy can kind of dash out of your melees, as the lock-on system won't recognize that they're away and they still think they're still in the same spot. Aside from that, there are a bunch of different versions of shields on each unit that are available. Won't lie on this one, I didn't really look too much into it. I know there is a white bar shield and a blue energy bar shield. The white bar is available on every unit. It's kind of like their general shield that blocks range damage. Once it depletes, once you're out of combat, it will regenerate. It might even regenerate in combat, but I didn't pay too much attention to that. The blue energy shield is dependent on the unit. Stuff like units like the Alysnes can deploy a shield, which from the front, which will show up as a blue energy bar next to the shield on the left side, and it will deplete as it takes range damage. Units like the Panther can deploy one of those shields just innately, and you'll see it deplete before the gray or white shield bar. It will usually deplete the energy shield first if it's active, and then move on to your next shield bar. Outside of that though, melee units bypasses all shields. They do direct damage to your green health bar, so that is one nice thing about melee units, as they don't really worry about barriers and whatnot. However, things like the Alysnes' shield, you can use it to parry melee attacks as long as along with other melee weapons, so there's more factors to play in than simply just go melee, you go through shields. The blue EN meter on the right is your energy meter. So that is going to be used for all your movement options in the game, whether it's to hover up, glide, or simply to dash and sprint. Recharging usage of the unit's meter is all dependent on the unit they are piloting, so each can vary in terms of the consumptions and the recharge rate. So with the basics out of the way, let's go on to talk about the Alysnes, which is the unit showcased in the video. The Alysnes has probably one of the best all-rounder kits for units that we have available right now. It has a machine gun, a Gauss cannon for mid-range combat. Up close, it has the option to switch over to a halberd. The Alysnes also comes equipped with a complex shield, which can be used to block frontal range damage. If you see it being deployed, you'll notice that there's a blue energy bar on the left side that shows up. Without it deployed, it'll show as a different color inactive. Aside from being able to block range damage, though, you can also use this shield to parry melee attacks. So the Alysnes comes with a kit for almost range and melee options against all types of units. From its kit, I do think that the Alysnes is more of a melee fighter, with options to poke at enemies from afar, though. The halberd does an exceptional amount of damage, even compared to the other melee options in this game. I would say that the Alysnes has much more mobile and maneuverable playstyle compared to the other melee units, such as the Panther or the Welkin. The Alysnes also has a second life ability that's exclusive to this unit. On death, the Alysnes will shed its armor and turn into a miniature form of itself with a reduced kit. In this form, it only has a small machine gun and an energy. It has a machine gun and an energy sword. So, in this mode, it also has a reduced HP threshold, but I wouldn't underestimate it just because of that. The unit is very mobile in this mode, and its melee combos are much faster than with the halberd. Sure, the halberd hits harder, but with this, the Alysnes has way more options to kind of get in, poke at you, and then maneuver around you, kind of like it's dancing. You can almost think of this, if anyone is familiar with 00, think of this as the XEA repair form when it only has the gun on its right arm. Outside of that, though, the Alysnes can redeploy his full armor kit once per life, allowing him to receive his entire arsenal back one extra time. So that's essentially what I mean by the second life. I guess in a way you can think of this as it having 4 lives, because since it can redeploy its armor, it has 2 full lives along with the 2 small miniature versions of itself. So do note something about the armor shred and redeployment. The Alysnes is immune to damage when either of them are active, and when it is obtaining or shredding its armor, it will give off a mini EMP-like flashbang effect for units that are too close to it. When this happens, it doesn't really stun you, but it will kind of like do like a mini flash on you where it kind of makes your screen fuzzy. If you see the Alysnes about to lose its armor or regain it, I would suggest dashing away from it for the time being if you are in close proximity to it, as to not get caught off guard by that. This unit is great overall. I would suggest you try out the Alysnes when you get a chance. It is a great unit to learn about the in-game mechanics available to you through, along with the melee combat. It is probably one of the most fluid melee combat units in the game so far. Aside from that, I'm sure there's a lot of things I didn't cover, but I just wanted to get this short list of thoughts out there with my experience so far with the game. I think the gameplay of it is very enjoyable so far. If they can optimize the mobility options as well as the lock-on feature in the future, I think the game can turn out great. Overall, I was very pleasantly surprised at how enjoyable the game was for what I was able to test out. If the game continues to stay like this, I will be very much looking forward to the changes and release of the game when it happens. Aside from that, please hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments if there's anything else you would like me to mention. I might upload some non-commentary gameplay just to show off some of the other units in the future. And I hope you enjoy the rest of this gameplay.